A metal guardrail shot through the windshield, impaling a man in the front seat. Firemen spent an hour shortening the 13-foot pole before the still conscious man could be cut free. Surgeons discovered the pole was 2.3 inches in diameter and had missed his heart by just half an inch. During surgery, doctors carefully removed the pole, avoiding major blood vessels and vital organs, and the man ended up living. Some of the planes that were shot in World War II actually survived, and engineers noticed that the bullet holes clustered in these specific areas. So they planned to reinforce those spots, assuming that those were the weakest points on the plane. But another engineer suggested that instead, they should reinforce the areas without any bullet holes. He explained that the planes that were hit in these unscathed areas were the ones that didn't return. Since the surviving planes weren't damaged there, it meant that those spots were likely the critical areas that needed the extra reinforcement. The water started to recede rapidly, exposing the ocean floor. People were confused and started to notice the wave coming closer to the shore. This was a massive tsunami, triggered by an undersea earthquake. As the wave approached, it grew in height, reaching up to 100 feet in some places. It slammed into the area with unimaginable force, obliterating everything in its path. The wave swept entire neighborhoods away, leaving nothing behind but rubble. And over 167,000 people lost their lives in this region alone. If you get hit in the eye, it causes the blood vessels around it to break, leading to swelling and bruising. As blood leaks into the surrounding tissues, the area darkens, creating the signature black and blue appearance. Swelling often follows, making the eye appear puffy and tender. As the body starts to reabsorb the blood, the color typically changes to green or yellow. A cat jumped into a well full of animal waste in an Indian village, and its owner climbed in to save it. But he got trapped, and the waste had filled the well with poisonous fumes. When he cried for help, his son jumped in to save him, but he also got trapped. 3 more members of the family tried to help, jumping in one after the other, but they all got stuck in the well. Finally, a 6th family member entered with a rope around his waist. He was pulled out after the villagers heard the cries, and the other 5 men were suffocated by the well's toxic gases. If you burst out of a grave in the middle of the night, you might be a zombie. But what exactly is a zombie, and could they actually exist? Well, coming back from the dead might not be the only way to be considered one. Another defining characteristic is that they don't have a working brain, and there are viruses that are known to attack the host's brain, essentially taking over their mind while they remain physically active, meaning zombies could exist depending on how you define them. If you stomp on a spider, you might end up releasing a swarm of hundreds of babies all at once. And this is because some spiders don't actually lay their eggs in a web. Instead, they have to carry around their egg sacs, which are connected to their spinnerets. Once the sac hatches, the baby spiders will crawl up the mother's back. And if you happen to step on the spider, the babies will swarm the area. If you lightly brush by a chala cactus, the segments detach at the lightest touch, and the barbed spines would easily penetrate your skin. But when you try to pull them out, the tiny backwards-facing hooks on the spine dig deeper, causing more pain. To remove them, use a comb to gently lift the spines away from the skin, then use tweezers to individually remove each one. If you get rabies, the virus travels from the wound to your brain. As it reaches your brain, you'll start to experience flu-like symptoms. Over time, it can cause confusion, agitation, and even a fear of water. And this fear of water makes swallowing almost impossible, leading to excessive saliva that foams out of the mouth. After a while, you'll go into a coma, and with no cure, you'll eventually die. If you dropped a nuke into an active volcano, it would most likely just melt before it could detonate. But if the nuke was transported into the magma chamber and timed just right, the intense explosion could vaporize the lava, turning it into a superheated gas. This lava vapor would rapidly expand, causing an enormous pressure wave. The explosion would send molten rock, ash, and gas high into the atmosphere. A humpback whale almost swallowed a man by accident. At first he thought he was inside a great white shark, but he didn't feel any teeth, and quickly realized he was actually inside of a whale. The man claimed to have struggled for around 30 seconds, and says this made the whale surface and spit him out. He was quickly rescued and only suffered severe bruising and a dislocated knee. However, experts find this story hard to believe, since whales are incredibly harmless and wouldn't typically mistake a man for fish. He mysteriously fell overboard into the dark ocean without anyone noticing. When he surfaced, the massive ship was already disappearing into the distance. He began treading water to stay afloat, despite the strong currents and the chilling temperatures of the sea. Hours later, he felt something bump against his leg and saw a fin circling below. He kicked at the creature, which caused it to swim away. Finally, after nearly 20 grueling hours in the water, a passing ship spotted him. The man was picked up by a helicopter and made a full recovery.
People be like, let's go.